When we discuss why women find it so incredibly sweet, so intensely pleasurable, when you enter from behind, it's easy to reduce the conversation to purely the physical. But the truth is, what unfolds in that moment goes far deeper than the body. It's profoundly psychological, deeply emotional, and for countless women, it taps into something primal, something she often doesn't articulate with words, but feels with her entire being. You see, in that position, she yields control. She isn't looking at you face to face. She isn't guiding the rhythm, and she isn't monitoring the moment through her usual filters. She's fully exposed, unapologetically so. It is precisely that exposure, that complete letting go, that amplifies her sensitivity. When a woman turns her back to you and allows you to enter her in that vulnerable manner, it's not just an invitation to her body, it's an invitation into her trust. Because let's be honest, this position absolutely demands trust. She isn't observing your every move. She can't anticipate your next action based on your facial expression or tone. All she has is sensation. All she has is how you make her feel in that precise moment. And right there, that's where the magic truly happens. Most people underestimate the mind's role in physical pleasure. But women, more so than men, are profoundly mental when it comes to arousal. Her brain is in fact her largest sex organ. And in that moment when she turns away and lets go, she grants herself permission to cease performing, to stop calculating, and simply to feel. She drops entirely into her body. That shift alone transforms everything, because surrender isn't weakness. Surrender is strength. It's her deliberate choice to be fully present, entirely receptive, completely feminine. In that space, her body becomes more responsive, her senses heighten, her breath deepens, and every thrust, every touch sends a ripple throughout her nervous system. It's not about being dominated. It's about feeling safe enough to utterly dissolve. And this is precisely where emotional intimacy quietly enters the room. Because if a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe with you, she will never completely let go. She might go through the motions. She might even enjoy the physical act, but she won't reach that deep resonant hum of pleasure we're talking about. That kind of profound sweetness only appears when she trusts that she can fall, and you'll hold her not just with your body, but with your energy, your presence, your respect. What makes it sweeter is not the position itself, but the underlying meaning. She isn't solely seeking stimulation. She's yearning for depth. She wants to feel desired, yes, but more than that, she wants to feel chosen in the most raw way, that when she turns her back, you see all of her and still move toward her with both tenderness and power. It's a delicate balance. The physical can only achieve so much, but when you blend the right physical angle with the right emotional container, that's when the experience becomes truly unforgettable. That's when her body melts. That's when the pleasure becomes so deep, it's almost spiritual. So, don't be misled into thinking this is merely about the act. It's not. It's about what the act unlocks mentally, emotionally, energetically. When you grasp that, you cease pursuing mere technique and start cultivating connection. And that's when she feels it. That's when she describes it as sweet. Not because of how you moved, but because of how she felt being moved by you. And that's something no technique can impart. Only presence can. Because ultimately, the deepest pleasure isn't about control, it's about surrender. And the sweetest surrender occurs when a woman feels safe enough to give you everything, even when she can't see your face. Now, let's explore what's actually occurring inside her body when you enter from behind, and why it evokes such incredibly sweet, almost overwhelming sensations for so many women. This isn't just about deep thrusts or strong motion. There's a science to the pleasure, a structure within her anatomy that elevates this experience far beyond a mere physical routine. When you comprehend how her body is wired, you begin to understand that pleasure isn't random. It's intelligent. It's intrinsically built into her. The female anatomy is layered with zones of sensitivity, but the back entry angle provides unique access to some of the deepest ones. Most discussions center around the G-spot, and yes, that's crucial. But from behind, you're also stimulating areas like the S-beta lesser-known zone located near the cervix, where nerve endings are exceptionally sensitive. The rhythm and angle from this position allow for more consistent and direct stimulation of these specific regions, unlike other positions that might only graze the surface or stimulate the vaginal entrance. Doggy style, when executed with care and rhythm, applies pressure along the entire length. The deeper stroke and the natural tilt of her pelvis enable you to activate sensations that feel like they emanate from the inside out. Just superficial pleasure, but a profound fullness that reaches her emotional core. This is what makes it feel so sweet. It's not just physical contact, it's internal resonance. Now, here's what's truly fascinating. When those inner nerve clusters are stimulated in just the right way, the body doesn't merely react with pleasure, it releases, because those inner zones hold more than just sensation. They retain tension, and when touched correctly, they release that tension, offering her a sense of freedom that's almost therapeutic. That's why women frequently describe this experience as deeper, not just in penetration, but in its profound meaning. Something about it awakens her because the body remembers things the mind attempts to forget. And when you touch her that deeply, you're not just giving her pleasure. You're helping her release overthinking, fear, and past hurt. It's not something she can conjure on command. The body must trust you. The muscles must soften. The energy has to be precisely right. But when these elements align, her pleasure transcends into something sacred. And you, as a man, become more than just a participant. You become a key, unlocking something she didn't even realize she had closed off. This is why intention is paramount. If your sole goal is simply to get off, she will sense that, and her body will remain guarded. But if your presence is aligned, if your energy communicates, I'm here, I'm listening, I want to feel you, not just use you, then her body will respond. It will bloom and you'll witness a side of her no one else gets to see. Not because you were flawless in technique, but because you were intentional in your approach. So, grasp this. It's not the position itself that makes it powerful. It's what the position facilitates. It permits depth. It permits access. It permits a connection that's felt not just in the body, but in the soul. And if you can meet her there, if you can approach her body with that level of awareness, you won't just give her pleasure, you'll give her release. And in that release, you become unforgettable. Because the deepest pleasure doesn't originate from how intensely you go, but from how profoundly you connect. What most people don't grasp, and this is where it becomes truly captivating, is that the reason many women experience such intense pleasure when entered from the back extends beyond the physical or even the anatomical. It's deeply connected to association, to what this position psychologically represents for her. Because whether we acknowledge it or not, the mind plays an equally significant role in arousal as the body does. And when a woman is in a position that breaks from routine, that feels spontaneous or even a little taboo, her mind genuinely ignites. The back entry position often carries a very distinct energy compared to, say, the typical face-to-face experience. Missionary, for instance, tends to bear more emotional weight. It's slower, more focused on connection, and frequently linked to feelings of affection and emotional bonding. But when you enter her from behind, it awakens a different kind of response. It feels instinctual, unfiltered, raw. It doesn't always come with the burden of expectations or emotional dialogue. It simply is. And that, precisely, is what makes it feel so liberating for her. Her brain isn't overthinking, it's reacting. That sudden shift into something that feels less controlled, less anticipated, sends a signal to her nervous system. We're doing something different now. Pay attention. That rush, that burst of excitement, it's dopamine, it's adrenaline. It's her brain rewarding her for letting go of predictability. And in that moment, she's not fixated on how she looks, what sound she's making, or whether she's performing correctly. She's just feeling raw, pure, unfiltered pleasure. What's more, this position frequently taps into her personal fantasies that many women feel too shy to express openly. Whether it's a craving for being taken or the thrill of surrendering without needing to explain herself, it satisfies something within her that isn't often addressed in traditional intimacy. It bypasses the logical brain and goes directly to her primal self, that part of her that doesn't wish to be polite, doesn't wish to be delicate. She simply wants to feel, and feel deeply now. Here's where things become truly powerful. When a man genuinely comprehends this, truly understands the psychology behind her response, he stops treating back entry as just another physical option and begins to see it as an emotional doorway, a moment where he can offer her more than mere sensation. He can provide the space to be completely herself, uninhibited, wild, and safe. And when you grant a woman the emotional freedom to step into that space without shame or judgment, you will be remembered not for the position, but for the experience. Because at the core of it all, women yearn for experiences that allow them to drop their guard. And while this might surprise some, it's often the rawness of the back entry, the way it bypasses eye contact, the way it removes the pressure to be loving in the traditional sense, that enables her to access a more uninhibited version of herself. The version that feels safe enough to articulate her hunger, her desire, her surrender. It's not about being rough or detached. It's not about objectifying. It's about understanding the mental space this position can foster and meeting her there with presence, awareness, and care. Because once a woman associates a particular experience with complete emotional release, her body retains that memory. And every time you revisit it with the correct energy, the sweetness only deepens. So, next time you think it's just another angle, remember this. It's not about the position. It's about the permission. Permission to be wild, to be wanted, to be free. And when you give a woman that kind of freedom, you don't just touch her body, you awaken her soul. One of the most frequently overlooked reasons women experience such profound sweetness when you enter from behind is the shift in sensory focus that this position inherently creates. And I want you to truly consider this, because what appears to be a simple alteration in physical arrangement actually generates a potent psychological effect. When her back is to you and she isn't looking into your eyes, isn't interpreting your facial expressions, or sensing your emotional cues, something fascinating occurs. Her awareness shifts inward, and in that inward turning, she feels more, not less. Some might assume that the absence of eye contact implies a loss of intimacy, but for many women, it's quite the opposite. In certain moments, removing the distraction of visual engagement actually intensifies the experience, because instead of concentrating on what you're thinking, how she looks, or how she's being perceived, her entire attention is redirected to what she's feeling. Every stroke, every breath, every subtle change in rhythm becomes magnified. The quiet moments between moans, the gentle grip of hands on her hips, even the way your breath brushes her neck, all of it becomes more vivid. It's almost like a sensory meditation. Her sense of touch is heightened because her mind isn't dividing its attention between seeing and feeling. She's not outside of herself, trying to make sense of the moment. She's utterly inside herself, immersed in the moment. And in that state, her nervous system becomes hyper-responsive. She might arch more, moan louder, even become completely still, not because she's passive, but because she's feeling everything with greater intensity. It's in this space, where she is less focused on you and more connected to herself, that pleasure becomes sacred. It's no longer just about what you're doing to her, but what is awakening within her. The stimulation from behind, combined with this psychological withdrawal from visual pressure, creates a cocoon-like experience where she can finally surrender. Without the need to perform, she doesn't have to maintain eye contact or mirror your expressions. She's allowed to simply be. And when a woman is allowed to simply be, without expectation, without pressure, she becomes more open, not just physically, but emotionally. Her body softens, her defenses drop, and her pleasure flows without resistance. It's a state that many women long for but seldom get to access, not because their partners don't care, but because their partners don't understand. This position, when approached with awareness and intention, grants her that access. It doesn't disconnect you. It simply invites you to connect with her through different channels, through touch, through movement, through rhythm. And when these elements are in harmony, it speaks to her in a language deeper than words or even eye contact. It speaks directly to her body. What's crucial to understand is that pleasure isn't always about intensity. It's about presence. And sometimes, when you remove one layer of stimulation, like visual engagement, other senses become sharper, more alive, more intimate. That's what makes back entry so uniquely sweet for so many women. It places her in a position where she can receive fully and without pretense, while also amplifying her internal awareness. And that in itself is intimacy. Not loud, not dramatic, but profoundly real. So, let this insight settle in. Sometimes the sweetest moments don't occur when she's gazing into your eyes. They happen when she closes hers, turns away, and allows herself to feel you completely. Not because she sees you, but because she trusts you. And if you can cultivate that kind of space for her safe, focused, and fully present, you will touch her in ways no mirror, no gaze, no word ever could. Because everything she says is a gift from you. You will touch her in ways no mirror, no gaze, no word ever could.